Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is John Hiley, Myke Toledo, coming to you with our first collaboration of Ask Myke and John. So we are going to go ahead and go through this month's questions, and we're going to try to get straight to the point. We're not going to try to make this a 10-hour long video, but you never know, right, Myke?
You never know, man. Hey, you guys ask
Yeah.
questions, we bring it.
All right. So jumping right into this, I'll go ahead and ask the first question here. It looks like Rumbod. And I'm sure that is his name, Rumbod. All right. Actually, his name's Dan. He put that at the end of the email here. Hey, just curious how many hail dents I need to be pushing out per hour or per day before I try going out and doing hail cars. I know it can vary depending on the damage, but just a ballpark figure. So he's looking to try to figure out how many hail dents he should be pushing per hour. And what you think about that, Myke?
Uh, how many hail dance he should be pushing per hour? I don't think there's no right answer to that, man. You
That's
just
what
got I think personally, you just have to. Here's my thing, and John, you probably agree, is that I tell my students, or even myself, if you're going to do some hail, you do one section and you glass it, and that's when you know you're ready to keep moving on. If you can glass your repairs, you can do hail. But the most important thing is that you don't want to be pushing a dent and then it didn't come out I'm gonna go to this one. It didn't come out all the way, I'm gonna go to this one. That's the worst thing you could do to yourself when you're doing hail, because it's not 80% that you're leaving it at, or 90% anymore. When you have a lot of them that you've left not finished 100%, it's not even a 90% repair anymore. It's more like 60 or 50%, because you're going to see all these splotches that you left behind, these
Yeah.
imperfections. So
Especially if you're not just casually cross-checking here and there from corner to corner, because there is that time on a hail car that you just need to be totally on the other opposite side or something like that. So you might as well be like knocking out dents on that side too. But I think what Mike's saying is don't like chew them up and go to the next one and then chew it up and go to the next one, right?
yeah,
And then he's right. There is no perfect answer to that question. But what I will tell you is exactly what Mike said there, is that the most important thing when you hit the hail trail is not how fast you are. Absolutely not. If you're really fast, but your cars are coming out sloppy, then that's not a good presentation for who you are or who you want to be in the hail industry. The great presentation would be is if it took you twice as long to do a car than everybody else, but when it came out, it looked twice as good as anybody else's car. So that's what builds respect, and then speed comes with time.
I agree. Yeah, because I'm not looking every tech who's working with another tech. We're not trying. Wow, he's fast. It's great that you're fast. It's impressive that you're fast, but are you glassing your repairs? And everybody understands, if you're a slower tech, but you do great work, it's just a matter of time before you get faster.
That's
So
right.
nobody cares. No, everyone judges you by how well you do the repairs, not how fast you do them. So don't
Yep.
get that out of your head. And it sucks. Believe me. When I was doing hail, I was a 20-year tech, and I'm looking next to me. Guy's been doing it 5 years, and he's blowing me out of the water as far as speed and quality. I'm glassing my repairs, but I know I'm not doing it day in and day out along with that guy. But if we're going to do bigger dents, it's a different
Hmm.
story. It's a different animal. So you guys got to stay patient with yourself. Try not to rush your repairs, because remember, how clean you are is going to matter
Yeah.
most.
Because it will humble you, like Mike said. When you get out there and you start working around seasoned hail technicians, you're going to be humbled because you're not used to the magnitude of like how many dents that they push per day. And not to mention, it's going to be the one thing that's going to make you an amazing tech. So when you come back and you work on your route or you come back home, you're going to be 10 times faster on Dordings. I mean, larger dents. That's because you just have so many dents under your belt. I mean, if you can imagine a route tech, right, may push 20 dents a day, a hail tech's going to push potentially a couple hundred dents a day or even more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's muscle memory. I learned a lot out there. So
mhm.
you're pushing the same thing up and down. And then once they get that muscle memory down and understand how to finish yeah, it's game over. It's clean. It's faster. Your speed comes much faster. So
Mm.
don't worry about how fast you need to be or how many dents you need to be. Just work on how well you do the repairs.
Yep. And our next question here, Mike, subject is insurance. He says, "Hi, Mike and John. This is, I think it's Jamie. Let's see. He apologized for messing up my last name, but I don't see where he did that. The shop I have, the building and tools, customer vehicles covered for fire damage, also have liability if someone gets hurt while they're in my shop. Is there anything else that I could think of as far as the insurance goes? Um, on keeping everything insured."
I have insurance. I'm sure you do too, John. But liability is probably the main thing. That's what you need to make sure you're covered. If you're out there in the field, um, garage keeper's liability, I think you're gonna have to really actually beyond what we're saying. You're gonna probably have to talk to your agent and just to make sure that you're fully covered for yourself. That you're on a different. If you're on a lot and you get hurt, usually the dealership wants you to make sure you have the liability garage keeper's insurance, so as you're mentioning, and that's the same thing. It's even more important for your own place, the liability insurance. So I would double check with your agent just to make sure that that you have all your bases covered. We're not going to give you, I can't give you the extreme perfect
Mhm.
legal advice, but my advice is to check with your agent, making sure that your bases are covered and that type of thing.
Yeah, and occasionally you might want to do an annual review with them and just review if you've purchased anything new. What I will tell you is I pay about $1,000 a month for my insurance. And I know it seems expensive, but I like to overly insure everything that I have going on here. And a lot of that is I'm also insured to drive other people's vehicles. Okay.
Hmm.
So I got insured in the state of Ohio and the state of Kentucky to be able to go and pick up cars and drive them, and also to be able to put my employees on that policy. Um, Above and beyond that, the one thing that I did have to amp up on my insurance was personal belongings, because I want to say that, or not personal, but like just stuff. Okay, so you get insurance for your tools, then you got stuff like your computers. We're sitting here, I'm talking to you at my shop, and I got a computer, a very expensive one, sitting here in front of me. So I had to make sure that all of that stuff was covered. So I had to amp up my coverage. I think it was only $5,000 that wouldn't even cover my computer. I had to amp it up to 50,000. And then I took all my tools and I bumped it all up to 50,000 on the tools as well.
Yep. Yep. So there you go. That's good advice there too. All right. So what's the next one, dude?
The next one is from Jamie as well. And this might be where he messed up my name, right? Um, Hey, Mike and John, Jamie, starting PDR. He's been writing estimates based on prices using Ultra just Dent Estimator, I guess. Uh,
Oh yeah, I saw that the other day. Yeah. Mhm.
Let me see. He had a section 1 to 12 inch size dent. Some jobs, but others, I write an estimate and give a 20% discount. Most places think that I'm too high, I guess. Are California prices going to be different than Nebraska prices? A lot of body shops, I fear, or let me see. Boy, he's all over the place on this.
I know. I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to
pick.
decipher what you're saying here, Jamie. But I think what he's saying is that is 20% a fair percentage to give to the body shops as well. So he's just asking if Nebraska prices are lower than California prices because he's using some sort of ultra dent estimator, and then he's also asking if a 20% is a fair percentage to give to the body shops.
I think that's more than fair. You know, first of all, the body shop's going to sell it for the body shop has advantage, and my thing is like get in with the body shop and say, listen, you're going to sell this thing. You can easily tell the customer it's going to be $1,200 or it's going to be $600 using PDR. I can give you 20% of what I'm going to do it. I make the price. I give you the percentage. It's pretty easy. And that's if you have a chart like maybe John Hiley's target estimator, you have, or you're using Paul Corden's, or you're using the Mobile Tech RX, which both of them are there. It's so easy to have the body shop understand that let me make the price and then you make the profit rather than you underselling it
Hmm.
or nobody makes any money. I think it's a win-win situation, especially if you have a target estimator for them. that they can understand to sell. Because what I like to do is the more you sell it for, the more percentage you're going to get. So if you cut the percentage and you cut the percent that or the cost of what the target estimator is, then you're going to get a lower percentage because that's what I'm telling you to sell it for. It's a no-brainer for a body shop to sell it at any cost, PDR cost, compared to what their conventional cost is going to be. So that's my opinion. What's your take, John?
Yeah. Everything Mike said is 100% accurate on the, on the body shop end of things. 20%, in all honesty, in the hail damage realm, if we're talking hail damage alone, is on the lower end of what body shops expect. Nowadays, they're trying to get 30, 35%, stuff like that. There's a lot of us guys that would never give them that. But there's also a lot of guys out there that would. I think it's just the point of, the body shops, like Mike said, you want to put them in a position where they have to get more money out of the repair so they can make more money and you can make more money. So that's a great idea there. Now, to go back to your question, as far as California prices being different than Nebraska prices, I'd like to ask you a question here. Is the cost of a Mercedes-Benz in California different than the cost of a Mercedes-Benz in Nebraska?
Right. Yeah, I've
No.
heard that one before with yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same cost, right? So, the deal is you got to get that out of your mind, okay? You got to start thinking about how much money you're saving people rather than how much money they're spending, and you've got to sell it based on that. Like, one of the very first things that I will do if I'm selling, a dent to a customer, and they go, "Oh, wow, that sounds expensive," I will always ask them. I'll say, "What are you comparing to?" And they'll say, "Well, I don't know. A couple years ago, I got a ding pulled out for $50." And I'll say, "Well, did you try to contact the guy who did that for you?" And they'll say, "Oh, well, no, I mean, it was years ago, And I'll say, "Well, I mean, have you got any other quotes or anything?" No, 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 no. Or, they might even say, yeah, I got a quote. And it was like $50 less than your quote. And I'll look at them and I'll say, "Well, what caused you to keep shopping?"
Yeah.
You put the ball on their court so you can discover their objections, okay? They might say, "Oh, well, the guy said he wasn't sure if it would come out." And you say, "Well, I'm not that guy. I'm telling you that I can fix it."
That's what I say too, John. I tell them, and
Mhm.
I say the same thing what you say exactly the way. And I say and you know what I say to them? I make them feel inferior that we're actually too good for them. Well, you know what, sir or ma'am? I don't think our service is a fit for you. And they're
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, I just don't think that, our service is able to meet your budget. And our number one objection is quality, not cheapest. So, no, you know what? Second thought, no, you do sound like the one for me. It let them feel like, well, what do you mean I can't afford you or you're not a right fit for me. So,
mhm,
and you're right, John, because when someone says that you're too expensive, oh, that's expensive. I said right away, what do you compared to what, please? Because
yeah,
it's in their head. It's most of the time they're pulling a number out of their head and they're saying they're not comparing it to anything, and they're half the
yeah,
time making up things because you catch them off guard with that remark. But it's a good remark to ask them because you're picking their brain, and most of the time they're making it up. But in the end, just tell them, you know what, sir, I appreciate your interest, but I don't think we're the
mhm,
company a good fit for you. So let them
yeah.
know.
So think about this real quick, Mike, though. Bottom line, to close this out, all right? So you got a cigarette here. I got a Marlboro right here, a cigarette. And then I've got a Cuban cigar right beside it, right? So I got a Cuban cigar and a Marlboro cigarette. I got a $150 cigar and I got a dollar cigarette, okay? Right here. They both can give you nicotine, right? You could get
Yeah.
nicotine from both of them, right? But why would people want to gravitate to that Cuban cigar when they can go down to the street and get a cigarette and get that same nicotine? Because it's the experience of the Cuban cigar. Okay. Think about that with your business and all you mega media event attendees. Think about what we're going to be doing for you in that event
Yeah,
in that way. Okay.
that's right. So I hope that answers your question there. So yeah, moving on.
Right. Moving on up. Jamie, appreciate it, Jamie. Good questions.
Yeah.
All right. What do we have here? Um, John, I joined your group. Okay. There's a guy who joined our group or dent trainer recently, and he has a question. He's a line board guy and would like a recommendation from you of what kind to get and where. I do see an A1 Tools has one, but also Dent Magic Tools has one. He wants to know, as far as the lights go as well, should he be getting a PDR Solutions chubby light? And he wants something less expensive but effective. He says he's not cheap,
I
just
like
thrifty.
how he I like
Yeah,
how he split that, dude.
he's not cheap, but just thrifty. Damn it, man! We were just talking about you.
Kind of get from where so he wants to know like where to get a line board. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's all you, brother.
Okay. Um, Here's the deal. If you guys want a line board, you can get it. Shoot, you guys can hit me up, and then I'll tell you where to go, because you can either. It depends what you honestly. You just need a line pattern, basically. So a vinyl line pattern. That's would be my take, and you can make the pattern any way you want. So you can get 1/4 inch lines, you can get 1/8 inch lines, and the difference between the 1/4 inch and the 1/8 inch is that the 1/8 inch will give you way more detail because it's thinner, and then the 1/4 inch lines are the standard, or I call it the standard. So if you want 1/4 inch lines, you can make them as thin as you want by turning the board in or out. Okay. But you can make your own pattern. But where can you get the boards? Ultra has already lens covers. If you have their light systems, they already have lens covers for them. If you just want the lines and you're asking, okay, I want to put, if you bought a Pro PDR Solutions light or an A1's light, but you just want lines, I would get the vinyl lines. Hit me up. I will tell you where to get them. I just don't have their site on top of me right now or in front of me, but it's like custom gear something. But I will send you guys that information. So you want to hit me up or hit me back up on Ask Mike and John, I will send you a link to that. And
Or
in
our
fact,
Facebook group. Hit us up on our
yeah,
Facebook group as
yeah, the
well.
Facebook group's going to be best. That way I can send you a couple links where to go. I used to sell them. It's just a pain in the butt for me to sell in being the middleman. So I'll just send you guys directly to them.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next question. We have, it looks like Glenn is asking the question. He wants to know what if we have a different approach to repairing dents on soft metal found on Subarus. The quality of his repairs seems inconsistent. Some are really easy to push out, while others look to be overstretched and not as clean.
Oh, you're welcome to soft Subaru metal. So, can I start this one, John?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You guys really have to watch what tip you're using. So you don't. My main thing is start with an R4 soft tip if you can get much of that. But you have to really watch how hard you push. Um, Make sure your reflection is broad if you're using a fog. Make sure your lines are small enough if you're using lines. But that metal has a very temperamental personality. So it's really how in life they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But with PDR, it's how you start is how you're going to finish. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure your pushes are really really controlled, and watch how you're working that metal. It is different, depends if you're working a deeper metal, or if you're working a softer, I mean, or a soft dent. So you're going to probably have to switch your tips. But it's very temperamental, John. I mean, it's hard to explain because it's so soft and you can make a mistake. It's like Honda metal on a roof too. Okay, you can chew the crap out of the Honda metal too. It's like that. So um make sure your tips are just start with soft as you can, go to midpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and then just finish it off. You probably have to make it high once in a while to get that pit out, and then your tap downs are going to be really have to be super accurate too. So otherwise, it can go south really really quick.
Yeah. I think what Mike is saying here is that you really need to work on not making any mistakes when you're bringing the dent up, because your mistakes on that soft metal are going to be amplified. And when you make a mistake, now you own it. Okay, it's yours. So you got to take that mistake and you've got to reverse it at some point. And when you reverse it, it can cause the mistake to continued mistakes over and over and over and over again, because the metal's so soft. When you tap it down, it'll start bringing perimeter metal down with it, things like that. So on Subaru, guys, what I want you really need to get focused in on this, okay? Like all of our members need to get focused in on this. You have to be able to hit the exact point, okay? Like you have to be able to, if there's a dot there, you have to be able to hit it. And you have to be able to hit it in a way where you lift it without poking it, Okay. You have to get really, really controlled. And that's how you defeat Subaru level, is just amping up your control.
Yeah, more accurate. I mean, and practice and patience. But like
Yeah.
John says, man, you have to own your mistake. Keep everything accurate from your tap downs. See,
Hmm.
some guys are really good at pushing, John, but they're horrible at tapping. I mean, they'll
Yeah.
miss it. They'll hit the shoulder to the left or too far to the right, and
Yeah.
now they got a low with a high. And now they got to poke that low out that they hit, pinpoint that, and tap down the high accurately. And sometimes you got to watch what tap down you're using. Make sure it's clean too, and
Hmm.
just
Make sure
use.
it's suitable for what you're hitting.
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right. Let's see here. On to the next question. Oh, I already had it up. It appears that we've got Wayne, and he wants to know, he's looking for a double bend door tool from Ultra. And he just wants to know if we have any recommendations.
ooh, yeah. Uh, Probably a double bend tool is, I would say, the most common one to use is a 24-inch. Yeah, the 20. I think it's a 22-inch. 24. No, it's a 24-inch double bend.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm really recommending now is the 18-inch. It's a custom one. So if you want something that you can use in the door that's not too tall and not too short, because a lot of us guys like to sit down, or we like to kneel down, or we like to be eye level to the panel. But when your handle's way up high, it's kind of awkward on your shoulder and your rotor cup. Try that. But if you just don't want to do anything custom, I do the 24-inch double bend soft tip. That's the ST3803, or ST3802. So
That's the exact tool that I was going to recommend, Mike. There's times, guys, you have to get a soft tip in a door, because if you're bringing up a body line or something like that, let's just say on a Chevy Camaro,
yeah,
you are going to hack that thing up if you try to use a 226, or you try to use something with a sharper end. So you got to be able to get that soft tip in there and crank it up just to keep the dent clean.
yeah, and to go along with that tool too is, if you're gonna get the Ultra, get that, remember that the screw on tip that goes on there, but try not. Don't use the rubber one. Use the plastic. They have hard plastic caps now. It's like, just like John was saying, if you have a body line, use the hard plastic cap. Obviously, put a little tape on it so you're not slipping. But man, that drives the body line right out. So that's a little tech tip right there you could use with that.
That's right. That's awesome. Okay, and on to the next question here. We got, let's see, he wants to know, his name's Glenn. Actually, this is Glenn again. And he wants to know the details about toll cut and polishing. So
Okay. Yeah.
for that, let's explain. Like, first, toll cut is like a sanding process where you don't use any water or any, lubricant
Yeah.
on the
Dry
sanding
sand. Yeah.
process. So
Dry sanding. So it's
it is
awesome.
really nice. I mean, I wish I had some. I ran through all mine, and I haven't repurchased or anything like that. But it was pretty amazing to work with.
So when should you be using? He's asking you more detail about toll cut and the process of toll cut. So toll cut you can get on Amazon. You can get because they don't tell you like what if it's 2,500 or 3,000. So the black is 2,000, and the there's what is the red, orange, or no, pink?
There's
The
like
pink is,
three colors, right?
yeah, I think the pink is 2,500. I could be, no, the green is 2,500. Anyways, well, you just go on there, you'll check it out. But Amazon, and type in Tolecut. It's not on Prime though, unfortunately. You have to wait a few days longer than that, but it's perfect. But what it's used for is, here's our tech tip. When if you're going to sand something, it's because you're pushing the metal, and you're creating micro texture into the paint. And sometimes it gets so blurry that you really can't see any more of the dent that you need to
Mhm.
push out or tap down. But before you sand, make sure it's at least even. You don't want to have a giant high and a giant low. It's not going to do any good. So you're going to prematurely sand for nothing.
Yeah.
And what goes with that after you sand it is, I like to use the McGuire's 105 and 205. So that's, you can get that at Walmart. You can get that at Pep Boys, or any of your local auto store. It works fantastic. My thing is, use a polisher, a high-speed polisher. You can use your drill; that'll work if that's what you have. Um, but it really it takes all the way the scratches out, and then polish it back up with the 205, and you're good to go. And then it'll clear up. It'll leave left what exactly you have left to do on your dent, whether it's a tiny bit of a high or a little bit of a low. Usually you see a little micro low and you just get rid of it. So it's awesome.
Sometimes I'm still amazed at that, Mike. When I wet sand one and polish it, I'm like, dude, this is a different dent. I mean, it really does clean things up. And there's sometimes guys that, especially if you're working some severe hail, you're going to get one that goes a little south on you. If you're trying to like shrink it and stuff like that, you're
Yeah.
using sharp tips. You have to. I mean, the dent's so hard and so gnarled in there. You got to do something to shrink it. And when you do that, you may be changing the actual pattern a little bit in the core, which is the deepest part, as you're bringing it up. I mean, it's just a fact of life. You're going to have to do that occasionally.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
where I see that it works the best is on aluminum. I mean, aluminum wet sands like a champ, and on high strength steel, which here's what you guys got to understand. High strength steel, we were talking about mistakes earlier. High strength steel amplifies your mistake. So if you make a mistake, it's 10 times worse
Yeah.
to deal with on high strength steel. That's the nature of it. And, but yeah, that's a little tech tip for you as well.
Yeah. And it works awesome. So if you have a little bit of texture left, you hit that with Tolecut, you polish it, and you're like, where's the dent? I mean, and the great thing about Tolecut too, it does not take away a lot of the orange peel. So unless you're going really, really low, but yeah, check that out. I think you
And
guys
if you
will love
still got shiny dots in there, that means you still got little lows. So when
it.
you wet
Exactly.
sand it and you look at it and there's still shiny little dots, there
Yeah.
are areas that are you didn't bring it close enough to level
Yeah.
it out, like what Mike is saying. So you might want to keep that as an indicator, knowing that you got to get your pattern a little tighter before you wet sand it.
There you go.
All right. So ask Mike and John. It looks like we got Dean, and he wants to know if there's a subject covered for each level. Is there a must-have tool to get started? And yes, I know hands-on training is better and a lot of variables, but realistically, how good can one get on the videos? I keep hearing to not do the video routine, but time and money are tight. Thanks. Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
We've seen. I'll tell you what. I'll start this off. I mean, me and Mike have seen some. It's interesting because some people, you're right. They're not going to be able to learn it just off videos alone. It really depends the type of person you are. And me and Mike, when we started Dent Trainer, we didn't really expect for people to learn it just on videos alone. We expected this to be kind of a learning aid for people that were already trained, who needed additional, the additional knowledge. But as we've had Dent Trainer open for years now, we consistently got emails from people in other countries, some that really blew us away, of people that learned it from scratch here on Dent Trainer. That being said, I'll just be straight up with y'all. I mean, the people from the other countries blow my mind because they don't have any other options. You put somebody in a situation that doesn't have any other options to build their life or build their business, they'll find a freaking way to do it. Okay, so is video training as good as hands-on? Of course not. You don't have somebody over your shoulder telling you, mistakes and stuff like that. But if you have an iron will, okay, it all comes down to you. That's what you guys got to understand. It comes down to you. Are you willing to give up? Or are you willing to push through? All right. So you got to own your success, man. If you want to be successful with this, and I'm here to tell you, anybody could be successful with this through Dent Trainer if you had the iron will to do it. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
That's anything in life, guys. Anything in life, And then when you make enough money, you can go get some additional training. I've had a lot of guys do that with me and Mike. I know Mike's had a lot of people come that just took Dent Trainer courses, and then once they built up some funds, they came out and trained with us.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, them guys turn out the best.
I can testify. I had two Taiwanese guys that came into Ultra, and it's a quick story. Their intentions was to come see me. They flew in, grabbed somebody off the plane that speaks Taiwanese and English, hired him for one day. They went to Ultra. I happened to be there. They were hoping to meet me or come down and see me. They asked me, Mike, can we train with you for one day? And I was like, well, I already had a student there. And I was like, well, is it one day? Yeah, it's one day. He goes, we learned everything off of you guys' videos. And I go, okay. So you want to come with one day of training? He's like, yeah. They come the next day. John, they were mind-blowing good. I mean, I gave them a body line, they did it. I gave them a sharp dent, they did it. But they came in at 8:30 in the morning, left at 11:30, said, "We're good. Myke, here you go." They paid me a certain amount of money. I'm not going to tell you exactly, but it was a good amount of money. Okay. And
Yeah.
they were happy. They left, and I was like, holy crap.
So
But these guys
really,
were
they were
good.
confirming their skills with you is really
That's
what they want.
exactly what they were. And they were getting just little
Mhm.
tips on stuff that they were having a hard time with. Okay.
Yeah.
And super good. Matter of fact, I got their names and I got them on video, guys. So that YouTube video is coming out. I just haven't had time to put it together, but these guys were good.
Mhm.
So here's the deal. Like I say, everything that John says, if you want to learn, here's the main thing. Me and John put this together to build the foundation, to make sure that you understand the fundamentals as good as possible, because we don't want you learning bad habits. Is there a list of how you do things? We want to make the list a little bit better, but each curriculum, yes, there's titles that you go inside and you look at. So I'm not sure if this is a person who are able to ask this question outside of Dent Trainer, because if you go inside, you'll see the list of topics. And there, what tools do you want to use? There's a tools are recommended in there called Tools and Essentials. You should check that out, because that's going to give you a list, a PDF file, all that stuff right there and there on what to buy. And it's from different tool manufacturers.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's absolutely great advice, Myke. Like I said, if you guys see like half the students that I've trained in the last year and you guys seen the giant dents they've taken out, I would say at least half of them are just 1 year Dent trainer members. And they decided to come to me to advance their training. And it does amaze me. But there are people, I will tell you, if you ain't got it in you, then you ain't got it in you, man. You just got to admit that and soak it up and spend the money for training.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Okay. The videos, they're not meant for you. And this is for anybody who's watching this. They're not meant for you to go, oh yeah, I've watched that. Yeah, but how many times did you watch it? Well, I only watched it one time and I still don't get it. Well, it's not these videos. It's like training. It's habit. It's habit.
Yes.
Okay? You want it to be habit. You got to keep watching it, so it's mentally in your head. Because the more you watch it, it's like a movie. You watched it, and then you're out in the real world, and you're pushing. Oh yeah, I got to turn my board. It becomes habit. And what do habits become? Instinct. You don't think about it anymore. So remember, watch the videos, especially if you have a subject that you really like. Keep watching until you know that video, until you know what John and Myke is going to say in every part of that video, because that's going to transform over to you, and it'll come back over to you when you're doing the real world stuff, because you'll know on habit of what to do. So make sure you watch those videos multiple times. They're not meant for you to watch one time and you're done.
Absolutely. Alrighty. So going on to the next question, we got Salai, and he wants to know when if you know that you can fix a dent, but it's guaranteed that the paint will come off during the repair process. What do you do? I would start off by just saying you got to let the client know
Of
that
course.
if they have like they already have a paint chip in there or something that's going to split open, like let's just say it has like a micro crack on there and there's a potential chance, and probably one of the biggest places that I would see this type of repair would be on a front fender when it crushes in the edge and you look underneath and that fender edge has a crack on it because the whole edge is bent in. So a lot of times what I will do is I'll put some clear coat over top of it and do the repair. But I will always let the client and customer know that, yes, I can fix your dent, but there is a potential chance that the bottom of your fender could crack during the process. So you always cover your butt when you do that. And then you also have repairs that have chips in them. I get that stuff all the time. Sometimes I can't even understand it. Somebody will come in with a big old giant gash on their hood, like from a rock hitting it, and there's a dent around it, and they want me to fix the dent, but they still have this giant gash in their hood, but they don't even care about that. They're just happy to get the dent out. There's people that just can't psychologically live with a dent, but they can psychologically live with a chip.
Yeah. Yeah. A clear communication is key there. So communicate that there is a potential that it could crack, and not just verbally, guys. So when you're writing your invoice or whatever invoice system you're using, make a note on there and let them know and have them initial it. If it's not capable of doing that, then write something out on a paper invoice and have them initial it. So just to cover your butt.
Okay. Next question's from James Brown. Boy, I didn't know he was a member of our website.
I feel good.
You want to ask this question, Mike?
Yeah, I think I'll have to open it up from the beginning. So I think he says, "Hi, fellas. My question has to do with training. I am as green as a grasshopper and recently attended a week of training. I use the term training loosely because training was minimal at best. The instructor had no outline of what we were going to do. He basically let me drown on some dents he put in the hood, and that was that. When I asked what I should do or what was wrong, he just took the tool and completed the dent himself. So thousands wasted and walked out with the same info I went in with. What should someone green like me expect when taking a training class? Thank you in advance, and I hope this helps others so they can get duped, so they don't get duped like me." So
We've been preaching this for a long time, Mike. James, dude. We've been preaching this for a long, long time. Here's the problem. When people get into this industry, you when you go after, like, if you look, I guarantee you this place was probably one of the cheaper places out there. You're spending less money and all this kind of stuff. What you guys got to get in your head is spending less money for your education in this industry is a bad business decision. Okay. Having the wrong mentor coming into this industry is a bad business decision. Okay. I mean, and there are a lot of places that will take your money and you will get nothing in return. Nothing. You would have been better to just study Dent Trainer. I mean, really, with a minimal investment, and then work your way up till you can afford somebody who has a track record of being one of the best, out there in their genre, in their training. That is what you guys need to get in your mind. And here's the deal. So if you're going out and you're going to be trained by somebody and they're not successful in this industry, okay, they're not successful at owning a dent removal company. They're not successful at running a business. They're not successful at anything other than, hey, yeah, I'll train you for a couple $1,000, right? Then you're going in the wrong direction, because you're going to be learning from somebody who you can't have a mentor and duplicate their success if they're not successful already at what they're doing. You guys have to look at this like you need to find the most successful people, hire them, and that way that they can quickly allow you to duplicate their success.
yeah, I call it a recipe, John.
Yeah.
So my students follow a recipe I have, and it's kind of like an accountability thing. Like this is something we're going to have at a mega media event too. So you follow the recipe, you're going to have success. You
Yep.
don't follow the recipe, well, you're going to have mixed results. So, this is for, I don't know if we're going to, I think we should put this on the public page, just our YouTube channel, because this is kind of gives people interested, like what we really do in Dent Trainer and
Yeah.
how we answer the questions. But this is for people who are maybe thinking about joining Dent Trainer. Maybe you're getting personal PDR training. And what John said is freaking spot on. You don't make a business decision based on the cost. Okay. You base it on doing your research. You're getting some testimonials from people, checking around, and investigating in the background of the person that you're going to spend your hard-earned money on. Because I'll tell you what, I'm passionate as a mofo along with John. That's why we have Dent Trainer. And we want to make sure that you're successful, whether you train with me directly or you train with John or you train with someone else, or you're just on Dent Trainer. We make sure that you see the details and make sure that you're going the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I feel for you too. And it sucks that, that you wasted your time, but however, you're still here. You're still hanging on, because this is what really gets you through is the perseverance, the determination to get better. So we applaud you for that. But for anybody looking for personal PDR training, as you can see, I'm not preaching myself or John. I'm just saying, you really do your research. Okay. Check out the person that is going to train you personally. And are you actually paying for a vacation, or are you paying for PDR training? Because there's a lot of other companies out there that will promise you tools,
Mm-hmm.
room and board, transportation, airfare, and you get everything but the training.
Right.
So make sure that you are really doing your homework.
And real quickly, guys, I'll just let you know, and this was in the 3 keys to PDR success that I talked about with me and Myke being the mentors, right? The quickest way to success is to find somebody who's there, find somebody who's where you want to be, and mirror what they're doing. Okay, so they're obviously there because they've done things in a certain way to get there, right? So they, again, we know the recipe, right? So you want to find somebody who's where you want to be, get close to them as possible, and mirror them, okay?
Yeah.
Emulate them, and that's going to get you to success faster than anything.
Yep. I agree.
That's some Tony Robbins 101 right there, brother.
Bam.
All
So
right. Last question here is about the hot box. And this is, I think his name's Soleil.
is this the same one, Lucifer? Which one?
Yeah. I didn't use his handle. What the hell is this, man? Yay. Don't be doing none of that mumbo jumbo on us, son. All right. How can you incorporate the use of a hot box in a medium-sized dent, one that has large crowns, and a substitute for a heat gun? Is it substitute for a heat gun? Is what he's asking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I would stay away from the hot box unless you're really good at doing PDR, because the reason why is because a hot box is hot box is not a like all answer to everything. It's basically you have to know how to open up a dent and how to push a dent, all that stuff. You got to understand that the reason why you have a tight dent is because you've got to open up the shoulders of the dent to allow the center to become more shallower. Hot box, if the dent is not shallow enough, it's not going to pull up the dent at all. So it'll pull it up, and then before you know it, you're burning paint. So make sure before you purchase the hot box, or if you already did, make sure you know how to release tension in the center. Is it going to be a substitute for a heat gun? Hell no. I would definitely pick up a heat gun or a torch way before the hot box, because the hot box is not, it's
That's
not
too
a
different.
beginner tool. It's not a beginner tool for one thing, and it's very dangerous if you don't know how to use it. We do have some tutorials on the hot box and dent trainer. I actually have a different version of the hot box, the YO, but it's called the hot box. So it's pretty much the same thing as all of them. I'll be doing more tutorials on it because so many people want more tutorials. I personally don't use the hot box because I could glue pull or I could push a dent faster. There's some guys in the hail world that really like it. And Steve from Ultra, if you want to check out how he's using it, he just released a new video on his website. So check it out. It's really interesting how these guys are using it. But I can't tell you, recommend it to you if you're first learning, because you really have to understand how to push dents good or glue pull dents and then release pressure. So that's going to help you if you want to use the hot box.
Yeah, Myke, I actually thought the hot box came in really good for me because I really didn't like it for the small dents and stuff like that, And granted, I haven't tried it on like a medium-sized hailstorm, so I might think differently about it after we have a hailstorm. But in regards to what his question there on larger dents is where I actually liked it whenever I had a really soft shallow somewhere that I couldn't see from my pushing angle, but I could see it from a cross-check angle, that I would take that hot box and I would put it on there and it would bow tie that area so I could tap it down. And that's really was my favorite way to use the hot box. But I'm like, Myke, I wouldn't pay for that. I mean, there's other ways that I could repair that just as quick, if not quicker. But in certain situations, I could see where it could help you. But I don't know that I would invest in it until like I hit like a medium-sized hailstorm.
Yeah, I mean it's totally preference, guys. I mean, there's a few guys out there that just like they swear up and down that they love it, and that's great. But me personally, though, and I'm fine with it. If you want to test it, there's cheaper versions out there right now, $600, $599, whatever it is. It's affordable, but I still think you should invest some of that time. I would probably invest $600 in some new tools. So, but tech tip: if you're going to use it, watch out for gold, 3-stage pearl white, and the silver.
It's that isn't that magnet flips the metallic?
Yeah, it flips the metallic back. It makes
Yeah.
it almost look like a nicotine stain in the paint. So
I've seen that happen, dude, on the gold.
Yeah. Watch out. So okay. So
All
that's
right.
a tech tip there.
That is our last question there, Myke. So We're going to close out this month's Ask Myke and John. You got anything you want to say here before we close it out, Myke?
No, I appreciate this is our first tandem,
Collaboration.
yeah, collaboration. Ask Mike and John. It turned out, I think it was awesome, John. I like this
Yeah.
because we can knock out two birds with one stone, and they can get our perspectives at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll continue to keep doing this. This is definitely for a permanent process how we're going to answer these questions.
Awesome. All right, guys. Yeah, I got to agree with you there, Myke. So anyhow, y'all, we appreciate you, and we'll see you on next month's Ask Myke and John.
See ya.